I reflected a lot lately on the amount of clients I've worked with, the thousands and thousands and thousands of paid clients I had, all the potential clients, or not even potential, the actual clients I had when I used to do live ACH trainings and work with clients on stage and do demos, but also the hundreds of demos that we've done with all the live ACH trainings online as well. And I realized one thing, which is really quite cool. There is one question I have asked every single therapy client I've had for, I can't believe I'm saying this, over 20 years. It's really showing my age right now, which is crazy. One question I always ask, and I never go into a session without it. I've talked about in the past, never preparing anything, because I do not think it's necessary when you understand the principles, but I would say you want to bring this one question along, okay? With every single client, it's the best hypnotic language pattern you can have. It's the best hypnotic question you can ask. It's the best of the best. And it's this question right here. And you need to ask every single client, just like I have, which is, what's the problem? Every single session should start there. If you go into a session, however, and ask that question, but then start to assume like, oh, they said they want to quit smoking, that means it's a stop smoking session. It's not that, because now you're just going off their conclusions. And I've talked about that in other videos before. This one question starts a dialogue. And from here, you need to learn how to investigate when your client is giving you conscious responses and unconscious responses, conscious conclusions, but also unconscious conclusions. And all in all, what we're looking for when we ask this question, and then our follow-up questions, we're looking for something called unconscious moments. If you watch any of my ACH training videos, any of the demos that we've done, you know I talk a lot about unconscious moment. It's an idea that I coined for how to see when the unconscious mind is giving you information that you should listen to, compared to the conscious information, which you can totally ignore. And unfortunately, 95 to 97% of everything your client ever tells you, no matter how deep in trance you think they are, is all conscious conclusions. So there's always that question, regardless whether you're doing ACH, you're doing normal conversation hypnosis, you're doing hypnosis, you're doing clinical hypnosis, you're doing coaching, you're doing NLP, whatever it is. Always start with that investigation. Always ask your client what the problem is. Now, from here, they're going to say, well, Scott, I want to quit smoking. Then it's your job to follow up with another question and another question. Why? Because the very first thing they tell you is their conclusion. We know this. Smoking is a conclusion. Anxiety is a conclusion. What else? Weight issues is the symptom. It's the conclusion. Symptoms, conclusions, all the same thing. It's what they think their real root cause problem is, but it's just the thing they're experiencing. So by asking a client, what's the problem? Or, you know, I've got students that ask the similar thing, which is, you know, what do you want to work on today? Realize that's not the problem you are solving. So I have a lot of people say, like, Scott, I don't like doing stop smoking sessions. I don't like doing weight loss sessions. You're never going to do those things anyway. For my whole career as a therapist for over 12 years, helping thousands and thousands and thousands of lawyers quit smoking, I never helped them quit smoking because it was never the problem. It was all the other thousands of other things that I've heard and the symptoms and the real root cause that I helped fix. So I've never done a stop smoking session in my life. I've never done an anxiety session in my life. Why? Because that's not their problem. Now, I've talked about in a video before, understanding these mindset shifts going into a session and how to really advance your career as a therapist. That's a big one. So guys, ACH, hypnosis, whatever you want to call it, whatever you're doing, healing, it doesn't matter. The label's not important. Always start with what's the problem and learn how to track those conscious, but also unconscious moments as well.